one of the issues that we found, and I know that you actually talk about in the book, is a social gospel that you have battled against. Why is it so important to keep that in perspective and address that issue within the modern evangelical church?
Yeah, boy. Oh, boy. You're not paying me enough to answer these questions, buddy. So, there's always been this tension in the church in America between kind of the word ministry and the deed ministry. And at the turn of the previous century, evangelical Christians pulled back from social action, social engagement with the poor, because they viewed it as reflective of a more liberal theological framework, out of a social gospel that seemed to be emphasizing deeds, but seemed to be de-emphasizing the verbal articulation of the gospel. And so, kind of in reaction to that, the Bible-believing church tended to start to pull back from a holistic concern for the poor. And history's repeating itself. We've got the same thing going on right now. We have those who claim the name of Christ. We're very focused on social action, on addressing oppressive social systems, perhaps, or on meeting people's physical needs, and they're not too excited about sharing the good news. Then we've got the other camp again reacting against that, going, you know what? Those folks are all a bunch of liberals. We're going to just go back to proclamation again. And so we're seeing that repeated again in the present moment. I once asked my pastor, I said, Randy, how do you solve this tension of words and deeds? And he said, Brian, words are good and deeds are good. You should never do any one of them very long without doing the other. And I like he has a way of crystallizing things. And he was saying to me, there's no blueprint, there's no easy recipe. It's different in every context, it's different every relationship, it's different every moment. But at some point, we've got to get both the words and the deeds out there. And I think that's a good way of summarizing it.
We often talk about the proclamation and the demonstration of the gospel, both
Yep.
of those things. And I remember one time I was interviewing a missionary, and he said, so many churches will preach Paul, but they don't preach the prophets. And I think if you have a steady diet of biblical diet, that will then influence you to see that they do go hand in hand. I mean, Israel, why are they judged? Especially in Isaiah 58, when it says, your fasting is bad. It's bad fasting. And I'm like, it's bad because he goes, you use it for your own self. You're not trying to help the poor. You're not trying. I mean, he goes through a huge list. And I actually put that into a sermon outline once. Every one of those, I think it was like 30 points. I think the church was like, just kill us now. Just kill us.
It's true. If you so case, I was raised in the church. I'm a pastor's kid. I was in Christian schools my whole life. And if you asked me, why was Israel sent into captivity in the Old Testament, I would have always said idolatry. Well, that's true. Idolatry was there, but you kind of get this sense that Israel was, every Israelite was walking around with this little, Baal idol in their pocket. They're just walking around worshiping this Baal idol all the time. Well, it's interesting because in Isaiah chapter 58, as you mentioned, boy, these people were religious. They were like going to midweek Bible study. They were what would Jesus do bracelets. They were going to contemporary Christian music conference. They were doing all the religious stuff on the outside. It was all there. And God's going, this is disgusting to me because you don't care for the poor.